Okay, welcome to day 2 of this song live stream series we're doing this week. We are going to be working on the chorus section first tonight. I just did a little bit of this just now, and I'll walk you through exactly what I did, but it's pretty straightforward. It's kind of in the same theme as what we did last night. With the instruments. We started with the bass and went with the keys. And so we'll see how this works out. But let me play the section for you right now. Okay, so we have 2 real chord progressions in the chorus, which I think is a little unusual for what I'm typically doing, but I wanted a slightly longer chorus, and so really the first half almost more like a pre-chorus than anything. But here's the basic structure. So it's just going up through the scale: F, G, A, B, C, D, E. So pretty straightforward there. Nothing too exciting with that. I like that it's building a little bit. It repeats once more, so it does that twice, and then we go into these more complex chords with the synth bass still. So I said more complex. I really meant more notes. They're not actually very complex chords themselves. But after I played these 2 different things, I was kind of toying with both of them. And then I was like, you know what? Let's just have one lead into the next one. And then I have this other keyboard part we made last night, which is with the arpeggiator. So instead of playing a whole other part, I just really option clicked and dragged these down. So for instance, I'll delete this one. So I clicked on the first one, option click, drag it down, made a copy of it. It's in the wrong register. So I go up to my region area of my inspector, not the track area because that'll do the whole track, but the region, and I'm doing 8th note quantization, and I'm transposing it up 2 octaves so that it's in a better range. And then the same for the next one too. Okay, cool. And then I just soloed out the other instrument, which I'm adding here. So this is the one that I was going to load last night, but had to reauthorize my Reason rack. I love the Reason rack. I use it all the time now, especially with the new Reason Plus. And the reason why I'm using it a lot now is because they're actually adding a bunch of new content like every week, it feels like. There's a big new instrument coming out in a couple days. I am in no way affiliated with Reason, but I'm a longtime user. I first used it back like 2001, 2002 was the first time that I'd really seen that. And of course, one of the things about Reason that I loved was the cables in the back that you could move around. That's been around since the early days. We'll talk more about this a little bit because I do want to use this a little bit more tonight. But this 777 is a combinator patch that came with, has been in Reason for years, like decades. And I've always loved it. And so I use it a fair amount. Sounds kind of like a steel guitar, lap guitar sound that's really altered with a longer decay and a lot of reverb type. Great sounds. And so we're going to be layering this in probably on the verse as well as the chorus, but we're going to start here on the chorus since that's what we're working tonight. So I've got the bass part, the first section doing the notes that are just kind of stair-stepping up. Then it goes to the fuller chord section. We have the other Rhodes sound through the arpeggiator that is mimicking what the bass is doing. We've got the drums here. They're doing a little bit more interesting part than the verse. And let's just do a couple versions of this. And actually, as I'm about to do this, one thing that happens a lot with me is that I'm using, for instance, the bass part here. And when I play those in, especially when I'm writing, I'll often play something that I like how it sounds, but it's like I didn't memorize the chord structure. So I'm using the score view a ton so that I can actually come through and see these parts again as I'm playing other parts. This works if you can read music pretty well. If you can't read music, then it wouldn't help you too much. Then you'd have to, look at it a different way. But because I can read music, I can put this up down here in the bottom part of the screen and be able to remember what chords and things I'm doing. So as I'm playing the other part, I'm hopefully going to get it in the right key, in the right chord structure. I'm going to undo that. That's the other thing that I wanted to mention is that you have to unlink them, because if you don't unlink them, when you push record, it's going to show you what you're currently playing. And I don't want to actually see that. I want to actually see the original bass part here. So we get it selected, and then I unlink it. So I've got that part now. I want to hear that. And it's interesting, it was transposing it down. I wonder if I have that down. Oh, I must have, when I was doing the other thing, transposed it down. We're going to switch the transposition for the track back up to 0. Cool. And I did turn on the groove track option for the match groove track so that it's matching the drums now in terms of its timing. So it's getting quantized up to the drums. You can actually see that quantization happening once I turn on the groove track checkbox for this track, that up in the quantize section up above, it says now speak easy with a star as the option for that. So you can tell that it's being grooved up to the drummer track now. Okay, cool. And this is one part that it's going to be a little bit different for each of the sections. So when I copy this chorus to the later chorus, I'm not going to use the same 7/7/7 part. So this is how that would look. I'm going to option click on the chorus part and drag that over. And then I can just delete the other chorus section. And I'm going to delete the 7/7/7 for now. But let's actually put in a different part. And actually, I think that actually may work better as that chorus. And then we'll do a lower section at the beginning one. So let's try that. Okay, so I think that builds a little bit better there. And just like I did with the spirit instrument last night, I'm going to come down to this one and I'm going to do a binaural pan on this and actually push this one more towards the rear left, spread it out a little bit. Okay, so now I think I'm going to leave that alone for a minute because I think I'm going to want to change it again, but I want to let it sit and just percolate a little bit. I'm not actually preparing any of this stuff in advance. I don't know what things are going to come out as, but I do know that the drums right here it's like a pretty abrupt transition. So I want to do something with fills. I don't want to change the overall fill too much, but I want to come through and add like a little bit more of an intense fill, at least for that last bar. We'll try the last bar first. So I'm going to turn up the fills all the way after cutting that little section there. Yeah, I wish. Let's do it with 2 bars. See what it comes up with. And then I'm going to move the complexity and loudness matrix over to. I think we're going to switch the cymbals to toms for a second. And let's try a different pattern for the kick and the snare. And let's move it back just to the last bar, I think. Ooh, yeah, let's see. Just to give it a little bit more of a distinct transition, because I don't feel like it was happening before. And this is the second of the verses. So I want to change a little bit of something in here. I don't think I want to go so far as to add like hand claps or something, but I might change the hi-hat pattern. Okay, maybe that little extra hi-hat thing in there might help. We'll see. And I think even though we have the first verse pull a little bit with the actual feel, I think I'm going to have the second one push. Because I think I want it to actually drive and build to the second chorus. Okay, so the drums I think are a little bit better. They need some work still. So we have still just the basic core elements of the drums, the bass, this one keyboard, this 2 different synth parts, but they're happening at different times. I feel like there's room for something else here, but I'm not exactly sure what it is yet. It could be another keyboard part, or maybe another backing part, but I won't really know yet until I do some of the vocals, which I've started to write, but they're not ready yet. Let me show you what I would do with the bass at this section, because I think it is time for me to start working on that a little bit. And I'll get to the reason stuff in a minute, but actually let me do one of the reason things with this, because normally in Logic, I'll walk you through this section for a second. In Logic, what I would do with the bass almost every time is this stereo spread, and I invert the top half of this. So what the stereo spread does, it splits up your frequencies of a mono signal. So the bass is a mono signal, or often is, and it's going to put all of the frequencies below 20 hertz in the left channel, then it goes up to the right channel, then around 50 to the left, 500 to the right, etc., or 100, 200, 500, all the way up. And so it's spreading it out based on the frequency content. So I'm going to listen to this. If you have headphones on, you'll be able to hear this better than if you don't. But listen to the bass with it off first, and then I'll turn it on. That's with it off. Right about there. And I always want to check this with one of my meters here. I want to do this with the correlation meter to make sure that I'm not making a situation where this actually can phase cancel itself. So I want to make sure it's on the right side of the zero. Ooh. Okay, so it stays on the right side most of the time, but as it tails off, it goes into the minus. I think we're okay with that. The main part of it's not going to cancel. So that would be what I would do here. Listen to it in the mix. Let's go back. I think it just helps the bass find a wider spot in the low area, which I love that about it. Anyway, that would be traditional way I would do this. But we can use a different stereo spreader with the Reason thing. So I'm going to come through here and use the Reason Studio plugin effect rack. And this brings up the rack of things we have here. And let's open up the browser. And I want to find one of these things here. The M-Class Stereo Imager. Double click on that. So now I can do a similar effect using this tool instead of the Logic one. So now I'm using this, this whole rack is just on the bass track. So I can actually come through if I wanted to and, for instance, add scream distortion on this if I wanted to. Just a little bit to add some edge to it. I'm going to turn off my EQ on the Logic channel because I'll add an EQ after this. So I can build an entire effects rack using the Reason Rack plugin effect and just add as many things as I want onto it and turn it on and off if I want, or just leave it all on, or add new things, or integrate so that I've got a Logic effect before it and a Logic effect after it. It's really cool. It gives me a lot more flexibility with some of my sounds and things. Pretty cool. I love that, being able to add that in. Now, if I wanted to add another instrument, which I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to add, it's going to be another Reason one just because I want it to be. I don't even know yet what we want it to do, but I'm going to load up in the instrument slot another Reason rack. So this will be my third rack. You don't load up one rack and have it do everything. It's not possible. The Reason Rack can't accept multiple inputs of MIDI and output audio, things like that. But we can just load up as many of these as we want to, and that seems to work pretty well. So I don't know. I mean, look how many instruments there are here. This is one of my favorite things, is just how much we have access to that it brings out. So it doesn't have to be Reason for any of you, but I do recommend finding like your additional content. For some people it's Contact, for others, it's Omnisphere, for some it's, whatever, it doesn't matter. Find something else that you're going to use with this, because I think it's important to not just get in the same rut of things. And so I think it's kind of cool to be able to do that. Let's try the Scenic Hybrid instrument. And I'm just going to do patch surfing for a second. I love... Some of these are already sounding like what we already have. Okay, cool. And I'm going to combine this one with one of our cool Logic effects, the multi-effects. This would be the step effects, because it has the ability to do some really cool things with some gated type sounds. So for instance, just as like another texture. We're going to have this down pretty low in the mix. Let's change the name. Reason thing. Okay, let's try this out, just playing it once. Okay, so I like what I just played, so I'm going to do the capture recording function, which whatever I just played, it puts it in there. I'm going to do something a little different at that part of the chorus, but I'm going to leave this for the next verse as well. And I think I'm going to do one of the things I sometimes do with some brass instruments, just to add a little bit of something at that part. We're going to use the Logic Studio horns, and we'll use the full, I don't know, one of these sections. Let's do R&B section maybe. Not that one though. Let's do sustain maybe. Okay, cool. And because I'm going to be, well, what they say, good engineer is a lazy engineer, right? I'm going to copy the bass part down. Oop, undo. I think I could have done that differently. Oop, and that's actually down one more. There we go. Let's switch that out for soul section. I may have to actually switch to a whole different instrument. Not convinced that this is going to give me what I want. It might not. Let's try it. Try that one more time with the staccato. And let's see. I'm going to change the velocity. I don't know. Let's do this through MIDI effects. Velocity processor. And because I want this in the background, I'm going to put this in the binaural panner as well. Straight in the back, wider. Let's see if this does what I'm hoping. I don't think they have enough brassiness to them, so I'm going to switch this out. I don't know if I have it set up quite right, but we're going to do it anyway. We're going to go to East-West because East-West is awesome. And then I think this will be where we end for tonight. But we're going to do the Hollywood Pop Brass Sustain. Which one do I want? Maybe this one. Okay, that's not too big of a sample library, which is fine. That's more like a brass section. And I need to do something up here because I put all that stuff through the reason rack on the bass, and it is not going to work for that one section. So I'm just going to duplicate the bass thing. Oh, that's the wrong one. Thank you. Other duplicate. Pull that down. I'm going to turn off the reason stuff and just turn on the original. Again, I know that it is true. The skies are blue until they're red, until we live, until we bid. Yes, it's true. Okay, so this is going to take more mixing than maybe because we're adding a lot of really thick, rich textures here. And so when we get to the mix later in the week, there's going to be a lot to do with this, but I think it's going to be fun. So we're going to pull the plug on this for tonight. I'll probably try to work more on those vocals before the tomorrow stream, but I don't know. I think the parts are starting to come in. We still need to get the bridge section in and figure out how this is going to end with the last chorus and do the intro. So maybe that'll be really tomorrow night, is the intro, the bridge, and just tying the last chorus in. But thanks everybody for coming on, and yeah, check out tomorrow night. We have had pretty low views for these, And I think part of that's because we're doing it at night in my time zone. We may switch the last couple days to a different time, but I'll try to give enough warning in advance. Anyway, thanks everybody, and I will talk to you later.